Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 4, and today we're taking a look at the 1968 Alfa Romeo 33 Stradale. Now this was produced between November 1967 and March 1969, with only 18 being made, so this is an incredibly rare vehicle. And Stradale means road going, as this was a street legal version of the Tipo 33 Sports Racing prototype. And yeah, it features dihedral doors, aluminium body on an aluminium tubulars chassis, 13-inch magnesium wheels, disc brakes all round, and racing suspension. And it also has an engine that is derived from that racing car as well, although it is quite similar to the Alfa Romeo Montreal's engine, though this is smaller in size at 2 litres, and it's a V8, and it produces 245 horsepower and 148 pounds-feet of torque. Now, even though the Alfa Montreal's engine is slightly larger at 2.6 litres, this has more horsepower and more torque. So yeah, it's a far more powerful engine, and yeah, despite being quite a small engine as well, that is a really good amount of power. But crucially, despite having all that amount of power, it's not going to be wasted either, because the body itself only weighs 1,000, well, the car itself should I say, only weighs 1,543 pounds, so that is incredibly light for nearly 250 horsepower. Alfa Romeo 4C, eat your heart out, and yeah, it's an absolutely gorgeous looking car. Granted, it's not something you could probably use every day, because it's got really rather low ground clearance, and it's not even got locks on the doors. So yeah, you'd be struggling for using it on a day-to-day basis. Plus, it's hardly well equipped, as you can see. Only really anything to do with getting the car going is featured, as well as obviously keeping an eye out on what the engine is doing. Everything else is absent. So yeah, not going to be the easiest cars to live with, but neither would you want to really drive this out on a day-to-day basis, because it's been estimated that these are worth at least $10 million in today's prices. Though even back in the day it was hardly cheap, cost $17,000 to buy, when the average car in the US was less than $3,000. So yeah, you can kind of see why so few were made, but to be honest, that just makes it all the more enticing to want, because it's an absolutely gorgeous looking vehicle. It's got huge rear tyres to keep itself planted to the ground, and yeah, that racing suspension and lightweight body sure as hell makes a difference in terms of handling, as we will now go and see. So let's get out there and take a look. So yeah, this wasn't the first of its type. Obviously the Lamborghini Miura was the first rear-wheel drive mid-engine supercar to have been made. And yeah, on the face of it, that Miura seems to have this car licked. It has a 3.9 litre V12, this only has a 2 litre V8. That car has 105 extra horsepower and 124 extra pounds-feet of torque. But because this car weighs 1,202 pounds less and has yeah, a really rather high revving V8, this is actually quicker in terms of acceleration and top speed. And to top it all off, it's also a better handling vehicle. You're certainly not going to get the front end lift that is common with the Miura, and yeah, because obviously it weighs less, it's a far more agile car. But crucially, this car is a good sounding car as well, with that really rather high revving engine, as you can see, more than 9,000 RPM. So yeah, I'm going to just let you have a listen to it for a little bit. So yeah, it sounds really rather good. And as much as I love the Alfa Romeo Montreal, I love this even more, because yeah, it's more striking to look at, it's faster, better handling, and yeah, that's the same case in comparison to the Lamborghini Miura as well, as this can do 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds, 0 to 100 in 11.8 seconds, and going to a top speed of 170 miles an hour. Whereas the Lamborghini Miura has to do with 0 to 60 in 6.719 seconds, so you walk more than 1.2 seconds quicker in this to 60, and 0 to 100 is dealt with in 14.3 seconds. So yeah, another good 2.5 seconds slower than this to 100, and that can only do 164 miles an hour at the top end, so a good 6 mile an hour quicker in this. So yeah, really phenomenal car really, and yeah, you can see where Alfa Romeo were getting their inspiration from when it came to making the 4C, because yeah, this is pretty much that car, but better, quite frankly, because yeah, I think this looks better, sounds better, and yeah, it was more fun to drive. Sure, the Alfa Romeo 4C is probably the more technically advanced car, and it's certainly one you probably could live with on a more day-to-day basis, especially since it's never going to be as expensive as this to buy. But yeah, in terms of pure driving thrills and in terms of just the way it looks, this car is well up there. And yeah, it's a shame Alfa Romeo didn't do more of this sooner, because obviously only the 4C is really their only other well-known mid-engine rear-wheel drive car really. I'm struggling to think of any more, but if there are any others out there, I'd love to see them on a future Forza game, but especially since they would no doubt go well with this car. But yeah, this car in its own right is superb, and yeah, I don't think many people really give this the time of day, considering they see a Lamborghini Miura, they see a Ferrari Daytona, or you know, other cars from the same period, and they would no doubt look at them more than this, because yeah, it's not outlandish in terms of the amount of power it has or the engine that it has either. It's really rather modest in a lot of ways, but that modesty is put to good use, because yeah, it's a great handling car and it looks good in the same way as well. So yeah, if you've never tried it, then give it a shot, because I feel like plenty of people probably haven't. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.